Some people add some pretty wild stuff to their video game hardware. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 insane mods to video game consoles. Number 10, a gamer by the name of Zach created a temperature controller and a display that gave you all of the temperature information going on in the PlayStation 3 by way of adding 4 sensors, some LEDs, and an Adreno Pro, which by the way is just a microcontroller. People who do mods like this often will use an Adreno Pro. To a layperson, it just looks like a microchip, and you need something to actually do the things you intend to do. Now, the PlayStation 3 is a big, bulky, not great at dissipating heat monster, so to have a more aggressive fan schedule for it is a pretty good idea, but to be able to actually see the temperature and know if it's getting too hot, just shut the thing off, it's a good idea. Number 9, somebody took a steering wheel that you just hold in midair and turn. It's made for a specific game on PC called Sim Raceway. The steering wheel is called the SRW51. It uses a single accelerometer in order to control the steering, and they merged it with an Xbox One controller so they could use it with any racing game on the Xbox One. And it's really, really neat. Well, obviously, it's not a whole lot like driving a real car. A steering wheel is a bit bigger, and it's obviously not just floating in the middle of the air. But as far as controllers for the Xbox One, it's a unique project, for one. And for two, would just make the ability to use a wheel something you can just do sitting down in your living room without anything on your lap, without any extra accessories. It's a cool thing. I honestly wish they would mass produce this. Number 8, somebody by the name of Joe Mega put together a Xbox One X into a laptop case. Obviously a custom laptop case that they put together is made of metal. It looks frankly quite thin for what we know of the Xbox One X. You can open it up just like a regular laptop. It's got speakers, very minimal ports, just a power port and a USB. And I'll say it looks super weird to see a laptop without a keyboard on it, but like you don't really need it. Number 7, somebody did that also with a PlayStation 4. In fact, they sell them. They have a workshop that they just make console laptops, and these are very high quality ones. They are still plastic, but they're a kind of plastic that looks very nice, very shiny, very pretty. Certainly not the same as the aluminum that we saw in the Xbox we were talking about, but for whatever reason it really actually does kind of have a very PlayStation feel to it, despite the fact that this guy also does Xboxes and the design is based off of his Xbox design. It's probably the color scheme and the placement of various logos, branding, and various graphics. Here's the reason he does it. He sells them for $1,400, or if you want to ship him a PlayStation to do it with, it's $1,000, which is wild. Number 6, a dad of a daughter with Cornelia de Lange syndrome, a disease which brings with it some developmental disabilities as far as physical ability, and the particular case that his daughter Ellie suffers from prevents her from pressing the buttons on controllers. So he came up with a pretty interesting idea. He built a large lay-down controller using paint rollers, PVC pipe, and the Xbox One adaptive controller, which uses paint rollers that have peaks and valleys on the roller itself, which then can be used to trigger a button which is wired to the bottom of the device, which is where the wires come out, which you can plug into the adaptive controller. It's pretty interesting. He and his nephew collaborated to make kind of a color etch-a-sketch program that could be used with this controller, which his daughter rather enjoys playing. Number 5, a guy took apart a PlayStation 4 controller and you know what he did? Wired a mouse and keyboard directly into it. And you know what he could do with that? He could play all of the FPSs with a mouse and keyboard, which makes him a bad man with an inherent advantage, but a very clever bad man. Now, with Microsoft and the Xbox sort of embracing the whole keyboard and mouse thing, I don't think we're long from a period of time where we are actually given a wide range of peripherals to choose from that might let us do this exact thing, but that's not now on the PlayStation. Hell, it's not now on the Xbox. So a guy with some ingenuity went ahead and did all of the complicated wiring and converting of analog to digital signal, and watching him destroy people all using controllers knowing they're like, how is he doing that? It's pretty great. Number 4, somebody figured out how to connect an Xbox 360 controller to the N64, and that's pretty great. Nothing against the Nintendo 64 controller, it's actually pretty good. For how weird it looks, it's actually a pretty comfortable controller. As much as I do like the Nintendo 64, I do like the Xbox 360 controller better. Well, this person did such a great job of, well, creating something that adapts it. It's actually just fairly simple as far as placing the mechanics into the case. The Nintendo 64 is shockingly barren when you open it up. Lots of room. And not only does it emulate the controller with the Xbox 360 controller, it also handles the controller pack and the rumble pack, which that's great. The mod he created actually lets you still use the original controllers too, instead of basically ending the capability like some mods might do. It's also quite clever because it's a piece of hardware that has a USB port that you have to put an Xbox 360 USB receiver into. So ultimately just a clever workaround, a clever piece of hardware that gives you wireless controllers for the N64 that are frankly more comfortable. Number 3, you know how the Nintendo Wii U was kind of a precursor to the Switch that allowed you to basically play the Wii itself basically all around the house? Well, for a certain type of person, that was a very good idea. And I think if the Wii U had maybe been a better supported console, that would have been enough for it to be much more of a success. However, it was a very cool gimmick that didn't really have a lot to back it up. Well, somebody basically did the same thing with basically any console, but particularly with the Xbox 360 and PS3. What they did was create a 7-inch screen with 2 control sticks, a D-pad, and various buttons that wirelessly transmitted and received visuals as well as control inputs back to the console. It's pretty cool. Let's just be clear. The idea that you could easily play those consoles anywhere in your house is, especially post-Switch, a very alluring one. And I hope that honestly more stuff like this happens and we see something that allows you to easily, conveniently play the other consoles anywhere in your house. I'd love that. Number 2, a rather interesting idea was to make an Xbox that did not need a TV. That is to say, an Xbox with an LCD directly inside the Xbox. You know how some refrigerators have their own screen on them? You know, in a completely useless fashion that you don't need? Well, this is an Xbox that's like that, except you can probably actually use the screen. This would mean that, assuming you can get power to it, you could take the Xbox anywhere and play the damn game, just needing the Xbox, a power supply, and a controller, which is great. A lot of the time, that is a problem. It's almost like a little mini arcade unit. It definitely reminds me of the arcade days in some strange, nostalgic ways. And I would like one of those, again, maybe for a current console, but that's pretty sweet. And finally, number 1, somebody made the AllSpark, except it's an Xbox 360. And by that, I mean the thing that everybody cares about in Transformers, in case you're not a Transformers person. What they did was they took plywood, covered it in self-hardening clay, and carved out a bunch of glyphs, painted it, and it looks awesome. Especially for Transformers fans, that's a cool Xbox 360. You ever seen an insane mod to a video game console? Leave us a comment, let us know what you're thinking, and if you like this video, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is a subscription, so click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero. We'll see you next time, right here on GameRanx.